Okay, so while I do enjoy the sound of Baldermort discussing anything, including my local phone book, he has created a great amount of stories that go along with his videos, and several of them link up together to form basically a short story. So today, we're going to have story time with Baldermort. And what better thing to hear than Tau getting crushed underneath tank treads, no less. So we're going to watch Tankers versus Tau and listen to Baldermort tell us a story. Yay! Alright, here we go. Law with passion.
Welcome, gentle listener. I am Baldermort, your faithful servant. It is a compilation of one of the ongoing plotlines of my fan fictions that are used to explore and demonstrate the setting of Warhammer 40k, the grim darkness of the far future, where there is no time for peace, there is only time for war. I do use musical themes, so often you will find the same tracks in each entry on one of these videos, but do bear in mind that these are musical prompts, for often the stories can be weeks apart in their continuation. So I feel the music kind of eases someone back into the storyline and the mood. Many an entry is the result of a vote, as I will leave many a tale on a cliffhanger, and then get the gentle listeners to forge the narrative by voting in the comments, so they can control the direction and events of the story. So, if you enjoy any of these stories, then do watch the weekly entries on the guides and prepare to exert your own influence and vote on the storylines. Now, I very much hope you enjoy the following compilation.
I'm sure I will. That is, unless Baldermort's listeners are a bunch of Tau lovers. In which case, I won't.
I hate infantry. Ours and theirs. I hate them. Why? It's the annoying taunts. The dim-witted ignorance of it all. Wouldn't I like to have feet of metal around me in a scrap? Brave men advancing in metal boxes. They know nothing. Because they don't do what we do. They have no idea. It's the constant battle with human nature. The cool one has to do what we do. They see us as safe and sound and snuggled up in our moving bunker. They don't have to think about it. Nor do they, or they would know. When they get shot at, they dive for cover, hide behind trees, scramble into trenches, or zigzag about the place. They're hard to see and harder to hit unless it's point blank, and the bayonets are out, of course. I don't envy them that, but that's about it. Us, at all points the enemy can see us, can hear us, can shoot us with impunity. We are always the primary target on the battlefield, drawing the heaviest fire, taking the best they can throw at us. If we stop, we die. One track hit and we are immobilised, sitting in a coffin, a sepulchre, waiting for the next hit that will finish us off. We can be blasted away by Xenos who can fire from the very horizon. We know it, they know it. So yeah, I hate our infantry. Theirs, again, most think that our sponsons and front-facing guns can make us a moving fortress. This is true, but it only takes one of the blighters to get in. Only one to lob a sticky bomb or other Xenos explosive on us, taking out our tracks, getting behind us, or swarming us. Then again, we're trapped in a box with howling mobs around us, and the end is inevitable. As with everything else, the grass is always greener. Musing over, the order is given. It's time to go. I close the top hatch and button it down. I look down to Rotten, and he grins up at me. I wait for the vicious nasal assault that will make us all want to retch. He's been brewing this one up as usual. As the groans start like a wave around the crew, I can't help but chortle back at him. You couldn't cut this stench with a chainsaw. It's practically chewy. But at least the lads aren't worried anymore. At least they aren't thinking about what we are about to drive headlong into. Tow lines. Little blue bastards. This one is going to be a white knuckler for sure. They know we are coming and have the longer reach. All we can do is keep moving forward. Always forward. Until we hit the range of our guns. I certainly hope that the Emperor's with us today, as we'll need all the damn protection we can get. They have their tall night things, the ones that have those rail guns. Being hit by one of those is the messiest death you can imagine. I won't go into graphic detail right now. I need to keep my cool. A couple of hundred of us are moving forward as one. The cacophony of the engines is near deafening. We get to charge down a valley into their guns, you see. Those hoppy little things on either flank, showing us that they are there, which means they want us to know. But it won't stop us. Trying to persuade us it's a bad idea. Pfft, Xenos. Guns to the left of them, guns to the right of them, guns in front of them. I slap him round the back of the head as I spit. Shut it, Gobby, you prat. He sniggers as hard as Watson did. We all know the drill. We all play our parts. We all do what we can to lighten the mood while staying focused. But that we are. Focused. A line of us rush on 3 deep. When their fire starts hitting, they start gutting us one by one. As a tank in the second line, when our trailblazer gets mulched, our front is covered with the offal that was once the men inside only a second ago. Railguns. Nasty. We hit that tank hard and push it out of the way. The instant we stop, we are dead. So we barge past and take our place at the front. I can see the chevrons of the others in our formation. Lots are stopping, but more of us are pushing through. We can actually see our objective now. We start to fire back and finally get to see some revenge exacted as their front lines and emplacements begin to explode and burn. Little blue bastards, we are coming for you.
Nice.
We stand around the map and I hear them all talking, all contributing. The Kroot, who will take the charge when they hit our lines. The commander who coordinates. The Vespid, who will provide a support, a surprise for our foe.
Where is that man's commissar?
It goes round and round the fire warriors. But the buck never stops at my feet. I wait. As everyone nods their agreement and starts to leave, I wait. The Ethereal has been looking at me for some time. I cannot read his expression, but no, he can read mine. The commander looks like he is turning to leave, but the Ethereal touches him lightly on the arm. He stops immediately. The Ethereal finally addresses me as the last of the Firecast leave. Something troubles you, Pater. I look at my hands, and then look up into his eyes and speak. Permission to speak freely. Always, Pater, always, says the Ethereal. The commander's eyes tighten slightly. I know he does not think much of me, of us. Can we do this outside? I wish to make a point, but it will be brief, I assure you. The Ethereal slowly gestures to the door, and as I begin to walk out, he follows me, the commander in tow. I open the door and step out into the beautiful dawn. The air is fresh and clear, and the sun shines down on me. The Ethereal gracefully steps out and stands before me, the commander barely containing his impatience. Speak your mind, Pater. I take in a deep breath of air and release it slowly, dramatically. The air is sweet and clean and fresh. I take another deep breath again and smile deeply as I release it with my eyes closed. I then open them and look him deep in the eye. The Imperium once ruled this world. The skies were filled with smog, and all of my forebears died drowning on liquid in their lungs. The Imperium did not care. They forced tithes on us that could never be met, could never be satisfied unless we literally dug the heart out of our world and filled its skies with smog and death, destroying every last thing of beauty on this world, my home. We were slaves. We were beaten. We were executed if we disobeyed. The words of the Imperium are still known to us. Blessed is the mind too small for doubt. They call themselves a civilization, yet there is nothing civil about this tyranny. Nothing. Ethereal looks at me with calm eyes. He knows where I am going, and I see the hint of what the Tau call a smile play on his lips. They are less expressive, so it is always a hint. But he knows where I am going, I think, and I see pride in his eyes. It emboldens me to say what I have to say. I have to. I mean no impertinence. Commander, I do not question you, but I must speak my mind, as I represent the Gevasa on this world, in our armies. The greater good. It has brought clean technologies to this world, to my people. It has saved them from drowning. It has made the skies clear. It has made the fields green. It has made the orchards grow. And it has made the oceans teem with life and fish and abundance again.
Fisher heresy.
I know the tank column that comes this way. It is of the Imperium. It is human. You have placed my men, my loyal men, in the rear, far from the confrontation. I know you have your doubts, both of you. But the commander more than you. But I would like you to reconsider. I speak for all of my men, women, and the entire population of this world. We are human, Gevasa. But do we not have a place in the greater good, in the Empire? If you will never allow us to be tested, how can we ever dispel the doubt? How can we prove that the greater good is every bit as important to us as it is to our brothers and sisters of the Empire? How can you allow us to sit by and watch our Fire Clan Kroot and Vespid comrades die in defense of our world, but not let us stand with them? We know the Imperium will never leave unless we fight them, unless we are allowed to die for the greater good, unless we, the humans of the Empire, can show them that we are not slaves anymore, and we do not want them here. Will you not let us have honor? Will you not allow us to take our place in the greater good? Will you not let us fight? The Ethereal looks on passively, but nods his head slowly and then bodily turns to look at the commander. He looks at him and intones. Peter speaks eloquently, ardently, and from the heart. What say you to this? The commander looks at him, then his shoulders seem to sag for a second, before he straightens and turns to me. The Gevasa 125th will be deployed to the front. You will stand in reserve to reinforce the Kroot and Vespid when we close the circle and perform the Kaon. The Ethereal nods and turns to me and sees me beam at him and the commander. I salute to both formally and perfectly. You will not regret this.
I hope
we
they
will
do.
fight the invaders with every last inch of our strength. You will not regret this. The commander nods his head, dismissing me. I walk back to my unit with pride. The men will be elated. We will get to fight the tyrants for our world. We will get to fight for the greater good. To be continued.
That's a horrible story. It makes me sad. It's a very bad story. It makes me extremely sad.
We're heading straight down their throats. Me and the lads in Olim and Russ are now at the true danger zone. We're hop, skip and jump from the front lines of the Little Blue, and they are prepared as we plough on our small guns aimed directly into the Xenos as they run from the trenches we smash right over. Taking them down in their swathes is finally revenge time. One of their huge towering night things is in front of us and taking its toll on our advance. Like the god of battle that it is, its weapons point in our direction and everything dies. We watch it pop one after another of our charging friends, each shot another 5 lads we won't see in the mess. We'll never brawl with over who owes what after too much amasec. All of them turn into sprays of blood and viscera as they are sucked out of a tiny hole in their tank. a hole punched out by this nasty thing in front of us. But it's not all one way now. We have it in our rangefinder. An order gets barked down the Vox, and I nudge Rotten, our main gunner. Rotten, see those things? The little things, the drones, around that thing? He nods his assent. He is grinning like a 2-year-old giving his rations. Rotten's enjoying this. Shoot them out. Gobby, Grumpy, shoot every last gun we have at those drones. Gobby fires back, but I'm notching up some serious numbers on the little blue bastard. Shut it, Gobby. For the love of the Emperor, just do as you are told. He has already started firing on the drones before I even snapped at him. But it's the dance, it's the drill, it's the pantomime. We keep things light and fun inside, while ignoring the horror that is going on outside. Rotten's tongue comes out the side of his mouth as he aims our main gun and he pops off rounds, but slower, more deliberate. Gobby and Grumpy lay on fire, and eventually, between it all, we see a few of the drone's shields smash and the little things explode. Our tanks in the line are doing the same. Why are we doing this again? Instead of claiming scouts, boss? Bill is here. He's going to introduce himself in a sec. So keep firing, lads. Just keep firing. The lads all look at me for a brief second when I snap that. All of a sudden, we have the same twinkle in our eye. The one we always have when Bonus Bill starts talking to the enemy. It's going okay. More of the little floaty things die under our concentrated fire. But Ears rips off his headpiece and pushes to the hatch. Everyone out, now! Nobody thinks twice, we all just move. In less than 5 seconds we are outside, diving off our old girl like she had the rot. And not a moment too soon. I look at the line and see why Ears had received the order. Most officers would not care, but someone in the HQ is getting a bottle of something nice for this one. A rarity indeed. But 1 or 2 more shots from our old gal would not have done much to that night thing. A riptide, I think someone called it. As the thing points its main cannon at one after another of the tanks in our column, executing them. Anyone too stupid to leave their tank is dead. Me and the lads dive into the trenches we have just passed. We know what is about to happen. After our gal gets hit, we look up as Bill finally says hello. A blast comes over our heads and smashes straight through the small shields that the few remaining drones were throwing up around this Xenos horror of a vehicle. It punches straight through the tower weapon like it was ripping through us. It topples onto its back. A smoking hole straight through the middle of its torso. It lands hard on more retreating Tau. Good. The cheer goes up from our lines, and as we are outside we can hear it and add our own voices. Bill, what we call the Baneblade attached to our formation, he crept up and shot that nasty piece of work on his first try. As always. Good old Bill. What's more, we hear him,
Bill the Baneblade. Seems legit.
Coming in our direction, like a moving landslide, the Emperor's own wrath. Bill has a whole company of grunts behind him around him as he pushes forward. The Tau start to flee. Lines of them are firing in consecutive ranks as they fall back. One line kneels and fires and then runs on 10 paces, when another line of them kneels and gives more fire. Our boys are being torn to pieces as they rush around us trying to get into the little blue fellas. But Bill hasn't done enough yet, it seems. As he rolls up, his guns blaze and everything Xenos dies in their droves. With Bill forging the way, the infantry are pushing in hard. As they pass our trench, one of them stops and smiles. Come on, lads. It's time to get up and get friendly with the Xenos, eh? His huge silly hat bobbing. It's almost comedic, but he's got a point. I look around at the lads. Come on, gents. Time for us to take a bit of revenge for the old girl, eh? They grin back at me. Everyone has grabbed a weapon on the way out of the old girl, as we always do in drill. I sigh. Rotten, where's your las gun, you twit? He grins back at me while brandishing his trenching tool. You know I like it up and personal with Bill about it's mainly going to be mopping up anyways, boss.
A guardsman with a shovel versus the Tau. What a horrible tale.
Hold that thought,
If he gets in melee with him, it's over.
Rotten, says I, as a buzzing sound comes from the air as I look over the edge of the trench before leading the way to join our grunt lads from Vestroya. My jaw drops. I see something that makes my bile rise and I spit. There are loads of things in the air buzzing about, firing down on our lads. I can see the Vostrians dying in their drays, but nothing can touch Bill. But what is the thing that makes me spit? I see humans, dressed in Xenos armour, carrying Xenos weapons, countercharging our Vostrian infantry. We rise as one and hoof it towards them. How could they? The traitors! But this is only a sideline, a skirmish. As we get stuck in, Bill the Baneblade drives up the field without anything that can stand against it. The rest of the column taking pace at his flanks. His main gun's now aimed on their power generator, and it's soon going to be all over. Holy Throne, I love Bill. And Tao. And here we are, Grumpy, Rotten, Ears, Gobby and me, all out and about, no armour around us. Our old girl has been smoked by the Tau, so we're in amongst the grunts, the infantry, making our way up the valley in the wake of mighty Bill. God, I love Bill. He's the Baneblade that is presently wandering towards the Tau central section, as fast as his tracks will carry him. Nothing stops Bill when he goes off on one. The rest of our line corps is backing him up. Well, that's what's left of him anyway. Many a tank has been scratched by the Tau big night thing, the Riptide I think it's called. As with our old girl, I miss her already. But Bill did for him, oh yes he did. I can state with some pride that we helped out in that little venture by taking down shield drones, but the kill, the glory, as always, goes to Bonus Bill. Why Bonus Bill? Because it's always a bonus to see him trundling up the field. Bill may be just fine, but we ain't in such a good position. Moving up behind him as the infantry were, we've been caught in a bit of a 2 and 8. Crossfire from the valley edges, sniper drones I think, but they ain't the worst of it. Nah, that's the Stingwings. Like some plague of locusts, they come over the ridge and started their horrible little strafing runs. All in the air, firing their guns down at the grunts from Vostroya, and us of course. But we're still trying to fight our way through the field of combat to get up close and personal with the traitor humans, when we're all forced into a foxhole, well, crater really, to avoid them. They buzz above us in their droves. Stingwing skipper, thousands of them. Shut it, Rotten. And no letting rip with your trouser bagpipes while we're hunkered down. You are warned. Ain't looking good, skipper. Ain't looking good. Grumpy, stop yapping and start counting. Ears, get onto CNC, see what's happening. CNC is telling everyone to take cover for a few secs, but to prepare to enact some vengeance on Stingy, sir. Gonna rip some wings off if I can ever get my hands on them. Yes, Gobby, that is the plan. Let's see what command have got in order, shall we, eh?
Yeah. Yay. Good old-fashioned story about the Imperials beating the hell out of the Tau. You can't really not like it. We
don't have to wait long. It's actually really funny in its own way. Unused to being outside of the old gal in a scrap, let alone with such a load of ruckus going on above us, the Stingies swooping about. But it's then that we prove the Emperor has some answers to the Stingies. We hear them coming, and it brings up a hoot from the lads. Even Grumpy and Ears look happy as we all see what is coming. In long lines across the air, Valkyries start zooming overhead. At first, it looks like they're simply swatting as many Stingies as they can, some even getting rammed out of the air, which is always funny. Then with the next flybys, I see what they are doing. In consecutive ways, they are flying lower and lower. As the Stingies try to dive under their fire, they are being forced down lower and lower with each wave of our Valkyries. Stingies cannot go above them, cannot stay in front of them due to the firepower and the risk of being smashed into. So the Stingies start being forced down, forced lower and lower. As the 6th wave of our Valks fly by, it is so low we can practically smell their pilot's cologne. That stingies all over the battlefield are being forced right down to the ground, where they are being leapt on and beaten, bayoneted and bashed to death.
I love happy stories.
A glorious sight. Now that is what I call revenge. Valkyries are wheeling round and dropping off men, VTOLing in place and dropping off an appropriate response to the lines of fire warriors that are cresting the ridge on either side of us. Short fellows, they're ratlings. As soon as they are dropped, they disappear into the long grass, and shield and sniper drones start exploding. They're pretty nifty with a sniping rifle, those little ratty boys, but it's not all going our way. As the ridges are theirs still, more ranks of fire warriors start firing down at us. Ratty boys are punishing them, something fierce, but on they come. The blue fellas rarely seem to be as up for it, as they are proving in this battle. Usually, they hit hard and then melt away, but they really seem to be enthusiastic today. Good. But what have we here? As the stingy wings are pulled apart, I order the lads over the top and we start making our way to the melee. A swathe of our lads are fighting in close with traitor humans, when there is a shout from either side of the valley, and on comes over a rabble of hounds and the strangest kind of bird things. Well, they remind me of birds anyway, but they got guns. It's then that one of the waves of Valkyries drops down again and outnumbers some of the thickets, the boneheads, and they're even done my slabs, but at least they are sort of human. It's going to get nasty when those bird things, Crete as they called, and their hounds try to get round them. This is only going to get bloodier by the second. And at this point. So here we are, beautiful morning for it, some might say. It's been a long hour so far, but the rest of the morning is still in front of us, and the little blue fellas don't seem to be going anywhere. Odd. As I said before, Tau usually turn tail and run at the prospect of a full-on scrap, but here they are, fighting tooth and...
See, I gotta say it yet again. This is so entertaining. It's perfect for me. I love this kind of stuff, and hearing it in Baldermort's exceptional way that he actually puts out stuff is glorious. I'm loving this.
And claw for this valley and its relay station. And tooth and claw seems to be the best way to put it, actually, as the dog bird things come down the sides of the valley in their droves. Crete. Nasty. Us outside of our old girl, our beloved Lehman Russ battle tag, left behind due to Xenos firepower. Naked, in the middle of a Barney. It don't bode well. Old bonus Bill, God I love Bill, has been moving up the field of combat, sweeping away all before him. But he's starting to look a bit lonely out there, as more and more of our armour are sniped out or burnt down by the Xenos filth. Yet old Bill keeps on trundling up the middle. There is no stopping Bill. Stingy Wing, the Vespids of the Tau, airborne nasties, have been swept from the skies by our flyboys and their Valkyries, and they dropped off a load of ratty sniper boys, then a large force of thickets, the Ogrins, before taking off again. Things are getting hectic above us as a wave of Tau flyers come in and start dogfighting our boys. Don't know where they were earlier. They take the duel up into the clouds, but its resultant dead uns come raining down across the entire show, like meteorites of flame and melting metal, and they slam down here, try a controlled crash there, but the final upshot is utter carnage. To the sides of our thrust, entire companies of Vostroyans now take up position behind the lines of Ogrin thick boys, preparing for the avalanche of Crute to hit 'em. Not sure who I'm more sorry for, if I'm honest. Them Crute look like they know what to do in a close-up scrap, but our dimwits, the Ogrins, well, they may be as thick as they are tall, but they also got a vicious streak a mile wide when their blood is up. Doggy birds are in for a kicking. But the fuzzy tops, the Vostroyans, are now behind them and preparing to blast down anyone who flanks them or somehow manages to get over or under the three lines of slab Ogrins. Can't see it happening, but as I said, those doggy bird things are in a right crowd. Ratty boys are still taking out the Tau sniper drones at the top of the ridge, sparing any shots they have for the officers and NCOs of the Tau fire warrior lines midway down the side of the valley, now unloading into our slabs and fuzzy tops. Both sets are taking it well, but it may affect things. Us? Without our tank, we are in trouble. Strangers in a strange land. Johnny on the spot. Ears, Gobby, Grumpy, Rotten and I are dodging our way forward, moving with the oncoming second and third waves of fuzzies heading up the field. The first company's engaged with traitor humans working with the Xenos, the scum. Without our old girl, all we can do is move up and hope to get a few licks in, I guess. But every scalp counts, as they say, so onwards we go. Looking around at the firstborn, the fuzzy tops, well, I'm now wondering about the wisdom of our actions. Let's be honest, the ground pounders are set up for this kind of thing. Hats aside, none of them could be less than a strapping 6.5 foot tall, or plus. Trained for the bare-knuckle brawl in close that this may be, their bayonets already stuck and sharpened. And here's my motley crew. Enthusiastic, but very likely out of their depth if we do make it to the front of the Barney. So I gets to looking about, having a shifty. Never know what you'll find laying about, as I always say. It's then that I clock something of importance. As our boys push the tower humans back, I can see her. I can see the crew on top of her. Now, my young lady, can it be that you're all alone on the dance floor, yet have no partner? Time to check her out. Lads, hold up. Head towards the cluster of wrecks over on the left. Double time it, you horrible lot, shouts I. Rotten takes point, brandishing his trenching tool like it was a power weapon. And so we get to a clump of 4 of our tanks all burnt out. Well, all but one. The top hatch is open, and 2 of her crew are lying face down on the ground, not yards from her. The last on her top, not having even made it off her before he got ganked. But lo and behold, the Emperor protects, the Emperor also guides, 'cause just over the ruckus of the fray, we hear she is still purring. My best guess, the burner boys lost their bottle and thought she was going to pop, bailed out, but were gunned down by Stingy fast. The bodies are a mess. All the rest aside, there is no mistaking Stingy. The Vespid got these lads. As each of the boys hear her purring away, her Emperor-blessed heart still pumping strong, they all turn to me and grin like the evil little wretches they are, even Grumpy. I nod my assent and bark my orders. Grumpy, back behind the wheel. Rotten, you're on the fire spitter. Gobby, heavy bolter. Ears, slide in somewhere small and get the comms working. Gobby then turns to me. What about you, Skip? Who do you think was sticking their head out the top and directing then? Not that I could ask any of you wastrels to do it, is it? They slip sidelong looks at each other as they scale the tank and drop into the hatch one by one. Yep, sticking made out the top ain't a grand plan, but there ain't going to be the space in there for all of us if I don't, and I ain't asking none of the boys to do it. Nah. Grumpy has a good head on him if mine comes off. He'll steer them through. Pardon the pun. A pun? Well, that's my first and last, I reckon. She's not one we've paid in for some time, this young lady, but we know the drill. She's a hellhound. Nippier than our old lass, but way more petite, is the only way I could put it. She ain't got the thunder the old girl could bring down, but she has it in other ways. We zip off down the field, as we need to be right down their throats to make good of this young lady's assets, because she's a burner. That turret, that gun, it don't fire a shot, it don't fire cannon shells. It spews gouts of flame wherever we point it. But it's knife fighting range practically. Grumpy bunny hops us for a few seconds, not hitting the gears right, but soon we're off. Nippy, as I said, we are making good time. We weave around the burning wrecks that litter the way up to the main push, but soon we're in sight. And it's not a pleasant sight, I can tell you. The column is spread out now. So many tanks have been gutted that huge rents in our line exist, and those boys at the front are looking reactionary and strung out. Bonus Bill is practically alone now, ploughing up the middle. But I have a feeling this is by design. The tower shot out all of his closest friends and left him on his own. Not great. No. Even more worrying is to come. The blue boys. They have these shiny looking walls all made of energy, like a force field or something. So our fire has to hit the bases and the supports, but cannot get through them easily. And there is a whole host of issues behind those first sets of walls. We can see them massing, readying to charge. Cootikin, thousands of them. But they have heavy things, big things with them. With pretty big guns on them, if I must say. None of them individually would so much as scratch old Bill, I reckon. But in numbers, focusing him down could be a problem. So we do what we have to do. Gotta pay back old bonus Bill, who saved us earlier from that riptide thing, by getting right in front of him and guarding him like a mother a newborn babe. As we peg it forward, the walls on certain sections of the tower lines drop for a few seconds, and forward they pour. Then the walls go up again, and a new wave prepare behind them. What we feared is about to happen, as even Bill's firepower cannot take them all down when they gain ground. Well, they do until Grumpy pulls a blinder. He ducks and weaves around Bill's side, and we unleash our little gifts from the Emperor. A strong stream of our promethium arcs into the air as Rotten does what he does best. It lands right slap bang in the middle of the oncoming Xenos. Some try to roll around on the floor to put out the fire. But it ain't fire, you see. It's promethium, so it sticks to them no matter how much they howl and roll and whine. But of course, this means that those behind cannot...
I just love the smell of tow burning in the morning. What's that smell? Smells like victory.
Get anywhere. Certainly cannot get to us. And Rotten then angles the hose slightly higher and begins to immolate the ranks behind. With us now positioning ourselves forward of Bill, he now concentrates his sponson on our flanks, bursting anything that looks like it's going to flank us, as his main gun roars again and again and tears chunks out of the tower tide wall. Other tanks then start arriving. Looks like the chaps in charge have gotten their finger out and given the orders. Good. With Bill behind us, more of our column to his flanks, and a newly created opening to our fore, it's now a very simple matter. What tricks do the Tau have up their sleeve? 'Cause if they ain't got none, this little set-to is all but over. We cannot stop their onward rush. The heavy tank leading the way. How I despise that one vehicle, having seen it destroy so many of our forces, slain so many of our allies, both fire warriors and Kroot. For a brief moment, I thought we had it. But a smaller vehicle came forward and protected it when our tide wall shields dropped for a moment, and a plethora of our Kroot forces surged forward. The smaller vehicle shot gouts of fire into our allies, and they were forced back. And just like that, more of the column formed up and caught up, and the moment was lost. No matter. We prepare for the mod car, the killing blow. We draw them in. Curse them, these mad, god-worshipping barbarians, but they are making it difficult. As a leader of the humans, or god...
I take such offense to being called barbarians by a bunch of people who 5,000 years ago were basically trying to murder each other in various ways, and then all started worshipping a group of people who had basically pheromones. Fuck the Tau.
Vasa forces here. It is a wonder to watch my own race. The horror of what they are. Base, ignorant, fanatical killers. Though we have the same genes, it is impossible for me to believe that we are the same. Just look at them. How they die in their droves and merely leap over the bodies of their own dead to get at us. They do so with a mad glint in their eye, a soullessness that can only be sated with the blood of their foes. They are like a rabid beast that will destroy themselves while trying to do the same to everyone and everything in this galaxy. The fanatics of the Imperium. They must be stopped. Our tide walls move forward and hem them in, forcing them down an ever-narrowing trench to get closer to our power reactors. They head for them as the primary target, of course. They have just enough wisdom remaining to know that if our reactors are taken out, then the tidal walls and much of our firepower will cease. We'll be open and vulnerable to their box barrage fire, coming from the fields of artillery stationed in their rear. I've seen the footage. It is as we have planned. But as always, the Imperium gains advantage due to its sheer cruelty. For what I see, I cannot abide. It makes me sick to the very pit of my stomach. For there it is, one of their many surprises. One we could never predict. The valley was controlled. We thought we had everything factored. Had scouted extensively, and clearly more than the lazy, mindless opposition. But here they are anyway. For it is obvious why we did not spot them. Our forces crested the valley on either side, charging down towards the main lines of the Imperium at the bottom. Our drones shielded the fire warriors that came up behind them, sniper drones adding to their own fire down into the mad onrush of our enemy. Orderly and organized, as always. But these are not normal warriors, as such a word can ever be used in a description of Imperial soldiery. They stand in disciplined lines and fire up to an extent and with an accuracy that we did not predict. Usually the lines of guard only have antiquated las guns, but these warriors, these firstborn, they are definitely cut above. Standing behind the two lines deep columns of ogrins, they hold and exchange fire with our fire warriors, purely out of the range of normal lasgun fire. Little rattling sniping up at our drones to strip away protection, so their ranked lines of fire crash into our warriors and Kroot alike, knocking down entire sections of our lines or charges in a second. But it is worse, for a new force arrives on the field.
Nice.
They still wear the ridiculous and disgusting column of clearly animal fur on their heads, the barbarians. But they are...
Where is this man's commissar?
Atop beasts of burden. Not armoured personnel carriers, not hover vehicles, not even open-top vans, but animals.
Here we go.
It is why we did not detect them with all of our careful scanning. The scum. But beasts of burden or not, they are fast and aggressive. As with everything that the Imperium touches, they have been twisted from placid and happy creatures of the fields into slavering monsters baying for the blood of their riders' enemies, of their riders' foes. The horror of it. And as we could not detect them, they strike hard, terrifyingly so. They crest over one valley edge and stand for a moment to almost herald their arrival. The light catching off their cuirasses, wind buffeting their banners and pennants. They seem to have sticks. Long metal sticks. They're actually going to attack our lines with sticks?
Yeah.
But their bugles shriek out a long singular note, and then they charge. The beasts of burden thunder down into our men, but when they strike the lines, those sticks I mentioned, they have explosives on their tips. I witnessed men and drones being struck and ripped apart from the initial explosion. The shock of it all is hard on the fire warriors. Exploded and run down by the initial charge, the riders then bring out either pistols or their nightmarish blades, the swords that growl. And these madmen slaughter all before them. Our fire warriors break and attempt to run, but they are stopped as they crash into the back of the Kroot, who have not yet managed to break the Ogrin lines on their flank.
Oh no.
It becomes a bloodbath.
No.
The steeds, the beasts of burden, as fierce and
oh no, I'm so sad that the tower getting slaughtered. Oh no.
devoted to killing and trampling as any of the Imperial humans or Ogrin. Even they seem to be genuinely enjoying this horror. I cannot watch. So I do not. I will act. The instructions come down and I order my men to form up and we prepare to take vengeance. All of us seizing at this barbarity. Other regiments have had their chance, but we have been kept in reserve, along with those forces for the Montcar. And it happens. Right now. The Montcar. The killing blow. It is about to begin. Long have we fought, not just this day, but so many before this, all leading to this. The forces of the Imperium have thrown themselves at us again and again. Always we have drawn back, avoided being bogged down, avoided a pitched battle, until today. They have the more warriors, so we must always be clever, never be dragged into battles of attrition. Choose our time. Be patient. Until today. And now it comes. Our killing blow. The Montcar begins. I can see it all. My head popped out of the tank. but I'm not in charge of firing or driving. When I've given an order, I then have some time to take a shufty about, and it ain't going great. It was looking rosy for a minute or two, but now it ain't. We're at the head of the column, our old gal left in the wreckage half a mile back almost, in our Bernie tank, as we are, backing up old Bonus Bill, the massive Baneblade punching its way through the lines of the little blue fellers. And all around us it's pandemonium, more even than usual. Burning fighters from both sides falling from the skies like meteorites, killing all around them when they impact. Our lines are solid, but under a lot of pressure. On my left the lines hold. Ogrins backed up by orderly firing columns of Australians. Crew can't get through. On my right, things were looking even better. Same Ogrin lines, same Vostroyans, same croup bird doggy things, but a host of our Rough Riders managed to avoid detection and blanked them. Charged into the back of the doggy birds, and now it's a massacre.
Doggy birds.
Woof woofs can't get past the Ogrins and fire, can't retreat from the cavalry. The perfect trap. Utter carnage. With the second wave of our armour moving up, after pecking its way through the graveyard of the previous wave, where our old girl sits still smoking, it was looking grand. Nothing stopping Bill, and us as watchdogs keeping back the rabble with our Bernie. Nice, I thought. But it turned on a die again. Horrible little blue nasties. Play their last hand. And there's a whole cord of high cards in their spread. Our cavalry starts to burst. Is the only way I can put it. Some form of fire coming straight through them. I see entire horse and rider pairs being thrown into each other, so hard they bounce into the air. That's just on the right. On the left, it's even uglier if I can be honest. Poor thickets are pinned in place. Probably wouldn't be able to get out of the way even if they were told to. One-track mines, as anything more confuses them too much. But they stand now, as heads start popping. Entire sections being blown back by bullets that tear straight through their shields, their hides and out the back of them. But so darn hard that they are flying back, just like the cav. It ain't looking great. That line holding them off from the Vostroyans is crumbling mighty quick sharp. I see a shadow or two strike the valley, and I look up the field. Ah, nuts. This is going to get even messier now. They've got us pinned into the middle of the valley, hemmed in on each side. Their bouncy boys and snipers are coming up thick. It's them with the big guns that are popping Ogs and nays. Nasty. And I do mean popping. Now the critter lying down, holding off for a second. The Ogs are being hit so hard that they're almost vaporising. The fuzzy tops behind are being splashed with dead Og like there was little painted figures, all sprayed red from the front. Don't know if they will hold under that. Ogs or the fuzzies. But at the top of the field, the head of the valley, causing those shadows, a score of those floaty, fishy, tanky things come over. A shoal of hammerhead gunships. But that ain't all. They've got broadsides with them, like dreadnoughts, I guess, but nippier. They immediately introduce themselves. Fire rakes down the lines and the second wave of tanks starts to go the same way as the first. Pinpoint shots hit them hard, punching straight through. Nice, eh? No, not one bit. 'Cause as a little shot that sounds like a twig snapping hits you, it's messy. The thing punches straight through the arm on one side, going so fast it punches through the other. But as it's going so fast, it drags everyone out with them through a tiny little hole.
See, that's the horrifying thing about those weapons. It is nightmarish to even contemplate what a railgun actually would do, because it's moving so fast. The power of the vacuum it will create is doing exactly what he was talking about right now. That's disturbing.
And that bigger thing, a man, can't go through a hole unless he gets squished. Ever seen a grox, a herd animal, with a squid? Huge fountains of the stuff comes out in geysers. It's like the tanks are groxes, the lads inside the squits fountains. Imagine that. Being pulled through a hole with all your mates and being turned into stew spray. Okay, it's fast, I guess. Silver linings, eh? But it ain't nice to watch, I can assure you. I don't like seeing so many of my mates turned into tank butt stew. The tower firing down and culling scores of Australians as they fire into the infantry as well. Entire squads turn into mulch, covering over a little ball and moving at the speed of hate. A few of our boys are trying to fire back, but are way out of range of our guns. For them, it must be like shooting into a barrel. Looks like we only have one last play. They're avoiding shooting at us and Bill, due to us being so close to their own men. If we explode, it'll take out hundreds of them. So we back up our Bane Bay boss, Bill, and keep as close to their walls and men as we can, smashing through their tide walls, and Bill grinds over them. We stick close and keep frying the blue bunnies all over, but things are getting worse. It seems that the comms have gone down, which means that they've sent a force round to take out, or at least tie up, our entire headquarters. So nobody is getting us out of this, and nobody is taking charge. No help is coming. I grabbed the Vox. Seems like I might be one of the highest rankers on the field now, strange as it may seem. And after having a shifty around as I am, and as I have, I think I have an idea. This had better work. Story continues in Vostroyan Firstborn, coming soon.
Alright, the last part of this, here we go.
I have been Baldermort, the faithful servant. I hope you've enjoyed the story.
Well, we are definitely going to have to take a look at the Vostroyan Firstborn video at some point. This has been Tankers vs. Tau by Baldermort. He has done several videos where he just... it's good stuff. I wish he would narrate an audiobook, but then again, one can only dream. In any case, I'm going to get this thing to rendering. My Patreon is down below. I'll put all this information right below mine, and I will see you guys in the next one. And I hope you guys are ready for a good weekend. Tomorrow's Friday.